Hey everybody, I'm Robin MacPherson and you're listening to my secret podcast exclusively available here on Patreon. This is a delightful show where every month I'll be answering your questions, ranging from language learning tips and advice to personal stories from my own life speaking languages out in the world, and also personal stories so that you can get to know me better. I create both an audio and a video version of this podcast so you can enjoy it however you prefer. And because it's a podcast, I can really take my time with this longer format and answer your questions in depth and really just hang out with a nice cup of coffee. In our first month of the podcast, we're going to have 3 wonderful episodes with an amazing array of questions submitted by you here on Patreon. In episode 1, we'll cover my favorite words in some different languages, my experiences living in different countries and connecting with people through the languages I've learned and how that has changed and shaped who I am and my worldview. We'll discuss my process for studying to work in tech and how I started Journaly, as well as my experience living in San Francisco. And finally, we'll touch on my thoughts on learning a sign language. In episode 2, we're going to talk about some career advice on starting a career as a translator, as well as how I started my own online businesses. We're going to talk about my Swedish journey and some Swedish resources I used. We'll talk a bit about my heritage languages and whether or not I plan to learn them. What does it take to get to the point where it's easy for a native speaker to talk to you? And finally, the value of learning Latin as a gateway into the Romance languages. And in episode 3, we're going to talk about my thoughts on bilingualism and reaching native fluency. We'll talk about the importance of having a good or even a perfect accent in your foreign languages, life in the UK, how long it took me to read in Japanese and Mandarin, a little bit about my Russian experience learning that language, and finally, we'll close out episode 3 with a few stories about me learning Finnish. So that's all coming up in the month of September. I cannot wait. And of course, if you want to participate and submit your own questions for the next month, then please do support me on Patreon over at patreon.com/Robin MacPherson. I hope you love the show. It's been a lot of fun producing my first 3 episodes. I can't wait to improve this over time. But for now, let's jump into episode 1.